Sun in the second house. Welcome to Sun in the second house in Synastry. In this overlay, we explore what happens when one person's sun, their core identity, vitality, sense of self, and life force, falls into another person's second house, the house of resources, material security, self-worth, values, and the body. Where the first house governs instinctive identity, the second house governs what that identity is built upon. It is the territory of what we own, what we earn, what we hold on to, and, most fundamentally, what we believe we are worth. When someone's sun lands here, it does not simply visit this territory. It illuminates it. And illumination of the second house is rarely a neutral experience. The sun person brings their energy, their presence, and their sense of identity directly into the space where the house person stores their deepest questions about value. This can be activating in a positive sense, but it can also be destabilizing, depending on how grounded the house person's self-worth already is. From the house person's perspective, the sun person may feel like someone who enhances their material or psychological sense of security. There is often a perception that life becomes more abundant in this person's presence, not always in a literal financial sense, though that is possible, but in the broader sense of feeling more capable, more resourceful, and more certain of what they bring to the table. The sun person tends to cast a light on the house person's assets, including the non-material ones, their skills, their reliability, their values, in a way that makes those things feel more visible and more real. This can be deeply affirming. Many people carry second-house material that is quietly burdened. Old beliefs about scarcity, inherited messages about what they deserve, or doubts about whether their contributions are genuinely valued. The sun person's presence may begin to address some of that, not through direct intervention, but through the quality of attention and regard they bring. However, the reverse is also possible. The sun's illumination is not always comfortable. If the house person has unexamined material in the second house, areas of shame, fear, or avoidance, the sun person's presence may bring those to the surface. This is not something the sun person does deliberately. It is a function of the overlay. Their energy reaches into this territory and activates what is already there. From the sun person's perspective, there is often a natural inclination to provide, to contribute, or to feel useful in a material or practical sense. They may find themselves motivated to help the house person build, earn, or stabilize. This can feel rewarding, particularly when the house person is receptive. The sun person often feels that their efforts here have real impact, that what they offer is appreciated, and that their identity is validated through that act of contribution. This can evolve into a dynamic where the sun person begins to associate their self-expression with what they give or provide. Their identity, in the context of this relationship, becomes partially defined by their role as a provider or sustainer. This is worth noting because it can create an unconscious dependency, not just on the house person's side, but on the sun person's as well. The sun person may come to need to give in order to feel relevant. The subject of values becomes significant in this overlay. The second house is not only about money, it governs what each person holds as genuinely important, their priorities, their standards, their sense of what makes life meaningful. The sun person's identity and values will inevitably come into contact with the house person's own value system. Where those systems align, there is a quality of deep mutual recognition. Where they diverge, there can be a persistent friction that is not always easy to locate or name. Shared values create coherence. They allow the relationship to feel purposeful in an everyday sense, a sense that both people are investing in something they both believe matters. When values are misaligned, by contrast, the sun person may find themselves illuminating a set of priorities they do not fully understand or endorse, while the house person may feel that the sun person's energy introduces an unsettling challenge to what they have always taken for granted as correct. Possessiveness is a risk in this overlay. The second house is associated with ownership, and the sun's energy, vibrant, compelling, difficult to ignore, can easily become something the house person wants to hold on to. There is a particular quality of second house attachment that differs from other forms. It is not only emotional, but existential. The house person may begin to feel that the sun person's presence is integral to their sense of security itself. When that happens, the relationship begins to carry a weight that neither party may have anticipated or chosen. The sun person can also develop a version of this possessiveness. If their sense of purpose in the relationship has become tied to providing, they may resist any suggestion that the house person no longer needs what they offer. Identity that has become invested in sustaining something does not release that investment easily. Physical comfort and sensory experience often become meaningful in this connection. The second house relates to the body and its pleasures, food, rest, physical comfort, the tangible textures of daily life. The sun person may bring a quality of abundance to these experiences, or may simply heighten the house person's awareness of and appetite for them. There can be a sensory richness to time spent together that becomes one of the relationship's more quietly sustaining qualities. At its highest expression, this overlay supports both material and psychological growth. The sun person helps the house person develop a more stable, more honest, and more generous relationship with their own worth, not through flattery, but through consistent presence and genuine regard. The house person, in return, provides a grounded and appreciative context in which the sun person can express their identity in a way that feels purposeful and real. When this works well, there is a sense that both people are more solid in themselves because of the connection. The house person feels more worthy. The sun person feels more useful and more certain of their value to another person. The dynamic is not without complexity, but it is one that, handled consciously, can produce a genuine and enduring form of mutual support. At its core, Sun in the second house in Synastry is about what we are worth to each other and what we begin to believe we are worth to ourselves.
This was Sun in the second house in Synastry overlays. Thank you for listening. Next, Sun in the third house.